Ethan Reed lived a life built on stillness. At 32, he had learned that peace wasn't something you found, it was something you protected. After a painful divorce 2 years prior, he'd moved into a modest, tree-lined neighborhood called Oak Ridge, drawn by its calm streets and the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. He worked as a freelance graphic designer, his days spent in quiet focus, his nights in gentle solitude, reading, sketching, or walking the loop trail behind the community park. He kept his lawn neat, his mailbox closed, and his music low. He didn't throw parties. He didn't leave trash cans out too long. He was, by every reasonable measure, the kind of neighbor most people hoped for, which made the red notice on his front door all the more jarring. It was a crisp Tuesday morning when he returned from a weekend trip to visit his younger sister in the mountains. He'd been gone since Friday, returning Sunday night, too tired to check his porch. But there it was on Monday, taped firmly to the door, an official HOA violation notice. The charge? Excessive noise on Saturday night. The fine? $250. Ethan read it twice. Saturday night? He'd been at a lakeside cabin miles from cell service. The only sounds had been the crackle of the campfire and the distant call of an owl. He pulled out his phone, opened his home security app, Ring I, a system he'd installed after a break-in scare months ago. The timeline showed no motion alerts, no doorbell rings, and no disturbances at all during the night in question. His house had been dark, still untouched. He frowned. Maybe it was a mistake. A neighbor heard a party next door and reported the wrong house. It happened. But when he called the HOA office, he was transferred to Margaret Holloway, the board president, a woman known for her rigid posture and even stricter rules. Her voice was crisp, almost rehearsed. "We received a detailed complaint," she said. Multiple neighbors reported loud music, shouting, and even what sounded like glass breaking. "The report was filed under your address," Ethan explained calmly. "I wasn't home. I have receipts, hotel confirmation, GPS on my phone." "That's irrelevant," she interrupted. "The disturbance occurred. The responsibility falls on the homeowner. Pay the fine by Friday, or we'll escalate to a formal hearing." He hung up, stunned. It wasn't the money that bothered him, it was the implication. That he was the kind of person who'd blast music, disturb the peace, and ignore his neighbors. That he'd lie about being away. And worse, someone had accused him of something he didn't do. And no one seemed to care about the truth. The fine sat on Ethan's kitchen counter like an accusation. He paid it, just to avoid further conflict. But the bitterness lingered. Over the next 2 weeks, more notices arrived. First, a warning for lawn clutter, because he'd left a single garden trowel near the flower bed while pruning. Then, a citation for unapproved exterior paint on a small patch of chipped paint near his front step, something he'd touched up with a leftover can from the builder. Each time, Margaret's responses were cold and bureaucratic. No room for explanation, no offer of grace. Ethan began to feel watched. He noticed her on her front porch more often, clipboard in hand, eyes flicking toward his house. Once, he caught her walking slowly past his yard, snapping photos with her phone. He started documenting everything, taking his own photos, saving receipts, and enabling all camera recordings. Then, one night, an anonymous text arrived. Asterisk, check your camera footage from Saturday. Sound is on. Asterisk, his breath caught. He pulled up the security app and scrolled to Saturday night. The video showed nothing unusual, his porch empty, the street quiet. But when he turned on the audio, his blood chilled. There it was. Faint at first, then clearer music. Pop songs, upbeat, distorted slightly, like they were playing from a phone speaker. Laughter. A man's voice shouting, "Turn it up!" Then the sound of something clinking. Glasses? And more laughter. It lasted less than a minute before fading into silence. But the video showed no one. No lights. No movement. No party. Someone had played a recording outside his house and reported him for it. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He replayed the audio over and over, trying to make sense of it. Why? Who would do this? And why frame him? The next day, he reached out to Maya, a friend who worked in digital forensics. She met him at a coffee shop, listened to the clip, and raised an eyebrow. "This isn't live audio," she said. "It's a loop, and it's being played from a device. Probably a small Bluetooth speaker placed near your porch." She enhanced the frequencies. "Listen, there's a slight echo. That means it's not coming from inside the house. It's external." Someone stood outside, played this, waited for it to register, then left. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his chest. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. He went to the local police station and filed a report. Not for criminal charges, not yet, but for verification of his alibi. He brought everything. The hotel receipt, the gas station purchase with timestamp, and even a photo of him and his sister at the lodge, dated Saturday at 9:47 p.m. The officer, a calm woman named Detective Reyes, reviewed the evidence. She checked GPS data from his phone, cross-referenced it with toll cameras on the highway, and confirmed he hadn't returned until Sunday evening. "This is solid," she said. "You were nowhere near Oak Ridge that night." Ethan exhaled. "So the noise complaint, it's false." "Not just false," she replied. "Possibly fabricated. I'll include that in my report." When he asked if they could present it at the next HOA meeting, she agreed. "If it's about community fairness, I'll be there." That night, Ethan sat on his porch, watching fireflies flicker over the lawn. He thought about Margaret, her sharp voice, her clipboard, and the way she looked at him like he was a problem to be corrected. And he thought about the other quiet people in the neighborhood, the elderly couple who never complained, the single mom who worked nights, and the college student who kept to his room. Maybe he wasn't the only one she'd targeted. Maybe he was just the first one who refused to stay silent. The HOA meeting was held in the community center, a low brick building with folding chairs and a flickering projector. Nearly every resident attended, more than usual. Word had spread. Margaret stood at the front, back straight, clipboard in hand. She began with the usual agenda: landscaping updates, mailbox regulations, her voice steady, authoritative. Then she reached Ethan's appeal. "This is the third violation for Mr. Reed," she announced. "And while he claims he was not home during the noise incident, the board must prioritize community reports over personal alibis. Intentions do not override evidence." A murmur ran through the room. Then the door opened. Officer Reyes entered, uniform crisp, expression neutral. She walked to the front and handed Margaret a sealed document. "Official verification from the Oak Ridge Police Department," she said, "confirming Mr. Reed's whereabouts on the night in question." Margaret opened it slowly. Her eyes scanned the page. Then her shoulders stiffened. Her face lost color. The report stated clearly: Ethan Reed was confirmed to be at the Pine Hollow Lodge, 120 miles away, from Friday evening to Sunday afternoon. GPS, toll records, and surveillance footage corroborated his account. He could not have hosted a party. Reyes added, "Additionally, our technical review indicates the audio complaint may have been artificially generated. We've opened a preliminary inquiry into possible harassment." Silence. Then, from the back, Mr. Delaney, the retired history teacher, stood up. "I've lived here 20 years, he said, voice trembling. "My son got fined for having a basketball hoop. He took it down, moved out, said the neighborhood felt like a prison." A woman near the front raised her hand. "I was fined for wind chimes." Wind chimes. Another man said, "She told me my dog barked at 2 a.m. I have a senior dog. He barely walks." One by one, voices rose. Not in anger, but in relief, in recognition. The board members exchanged glances. The vice president, a soft-spoken nurse named Lila, stood. "I move we void all fines against Mr. Reed and launch an internal review of reporting procedures." The vote was unanimous. Margaret said nothing. She gathered her papers, her hands shaking slightly, and walked out without a word. The changes came slowly, but they came. The HOA revised its policies. Anonymous complaints now require evidence. Fines over $100 needed committee approval. A mediation process was introduced for disputes. Ethan didn't push for Margaret's removal. He didn't need to. 2 weeks later, she submitted her resignation, citing personal reasons. Ethan didn't celebrate. He didn't post about it online. He just kept living quietly, honestly. But something had shifted. Neighbors began saying hello. Kids played basketball near the cul-de-sac again. Someone started a community garden. Ethan helped design the new newsletter, adding a section called Neighbor Notes, where residents shared stories, recipes, and small joys. One evening, Mrs. Gable from across the street brought him a slice of apple pie. "Thank you," she said simply. "You gave us courage." He smiled, eyes a little wet. "I just wanted to be heard." As the sun dipped below the trees, casting long shadows across the lawn, Ethan sat on his porch. No fines, no fear, no silence born of suppression. This silence was different. It was earned. It was peaceful. And for the first time in a long while, it felt like home.